The title of this video says I'm dumping JEPQ, but I want to be upfront. It's not entirely true. What I am doing is watching a brand new JPMorgan fund very, very closely, one that launched in March 2026 and is designed to solve the exact problem that has made JEPQ less competitive in taxable accounts for the past 3 years. The fund is ROCQ, and if it does what its structure suggests it should, this is going to be a better version of JEPQ over time. That's a very meaningful claim. Let me walk through why I think it's worth examining seriously and why I'm not making any moves just yet on it. Here's the context that makes ROCQ worth paying attention to, okay? JEPQ has been one of the most popular covered call ETFs on the market since it launched in May 22. It holds an actively managed portfolio of NASDAQ 100 stocks and generates income through ELNs, equity-linked notes, which kind of synthetically basically replicate a covered call overlay, okay? The result is a fund yielding around 11% with those nice juicy monthly distributions. The persistent complaint about JEPQ has been its tax efficiencies though. The income it distributes is classified as ordinary income taxed at your full federal bracket, okay? For investors in taxable account, that drag is real and it's measurable. Competing funds from NEO, specifically QQQI, address this by using actual index options instead of ELNs. Index options under IRS code 1256 receive 60/40 tax treatment, and QQQI has distributed significant return of capital, deferring taxes even further. The tax efficiency advantage drew serious attention, and QQQI grew to over 11 billion in AUM. And JPMorgan's response is ROCQ, the JPMorgan NASDAQ Equity Premium Yield ETF. It launched in March 2026 and is now sitting at approximately 205 million in AUM after roughly 7 weeks of existence. The structure is designed to address the exact problem that has been JEPQ's biggest weakness. Here's the framework I use when I'm evaluating a new fund against an existing position that I have, right? New funds, they carry a specific risk that established ones don't. Uncertainty about execution, okay? The prospectus describes the strategy, right? The actual distribution history, NAV trajectory, and tax character of distributions aren't fully known until we have some real operating data across multiple market conditions. A fund that looks structurally superior on paper might encounter impairment challenges, okay? Tracking errors, liquidity constraints, or distribution volatility, they only show up over time. And that's not a reason to dismiss ROCQ. It's a reason to watch before committing. The questions I'm trying to answer over the next 2 to 3 quarters are this. Does ROCQ actually distribute primarily return of capital, or does the tax treatment prove less favorable in practice? Does the active stock selection add value as JEPQ has over comparable periods? And does the fund grow AUM fast enough to tighten bid-ask spreads to the point where the trading friction is no longer a concern? Until those questions are answered by actual data, I hold JEPQ and watch ROCQ accumulate a track record for itself. But let's talk about what ROCQ is and how it really differs from JEPQ, because ROCQ uses call spreads, actual options contracts, rather than ELNs. That's the fundamental structure difference, okay? ELNs are literally custom contracts that are rigid once set. Call spreads are structural instruments, right? Open, close, modified during market conditions as they change. The managers have real-time flexibility that JEPQ's ELN structure that doesn't have it, okay? This matters a lot. In 2025, JEPQ lagged its peers during a market recovery period because the ELN contracts couldn't be repositioned quickly enough to capture the rallies. ROCQ's call spread structure doesn't have that limitation, okay? When the market moves, the managers, they can actually adjust. The fund charges 35 basis points, the same expense ratio as JEPQ. It holds approximately 100 actively managed NASDAQ stocks, with the top 10 holdings accounting for roughly 54% of the portfolio. The top positions as of early May 2026, NVIDIA at 9.2%, Apple at 7.4%, Google 7.3%, Microsoft at 6%, Amazon at 5.3%, and we also got Walmart, Micron, AMD, and Broadcom rounding out that top 10 list. Let's talk about the tax efficiency claims. ROCQ's prospectus states that it seeks tax-deferred yield through return of capital distributions. JPMorgan explicitly built this fund to compete with tax-efficient NEOS products that have been taking their market share, okay? Whether this plays out in the practice depends on how distributions are actually gonna get classified. The fund is 7 weeks old. There is no distribution really history. We don't have actual tax year data. The structural intention is there, but intends to distribute primarily via ROC is not confirmed track record of doing so yet. QQQI's tax efficiency came from 1256 treatment on its index options, okay? That's literally a tax classification that's verifiable before you even invest, okay? ROCQ's ROC distributions depend on how the fund gains and income are allocated, which requires some actual history to evaluate. But here's where ROCQ has an edge over QQQI. If ROCQ does achieve the tax efficiency it's targeting, it has one big advantage over QQQI: active management. QQQI holds the full NASDAQ 100 passively. ROCQ actively selects from the NASDAQ 100. JEPQ's active management has demonstrably contributed to its relative performance in volatility, sideways markets, the active flexibility to underweigh certain names and overweigh those better with momentum, right? Or stocks that have momentum and have historically added value. What's cool is ROCQ combines that active management with the tax efficient option structure. If both work as designed, it's way more attractive fund than either JEPQ or QQQI. That's the bull case. The honest case is we just don't know yet, okay? Let's talk about the AUM though, right? This is big. One data point worth watching. ROCQ grew from 0 to 205 million in 7 weeks. That's a notable pace for a new fund, right? Even for JPMorgan. And JPMorgan's existing distribution network through advisors is a huge structural advantage smaller fund companies literally don't have. But 205 million is still thin, let's be honest, compared to JEPQ's 34 billion and QQQI's 11 billion. Bid-ask spreads on ROCQ are reportedly 1 to 2 basis points, described as institutional grade, which is better than you typically see for a fund literally this young. And it's encouraging. Liquidity usually allows AUM, and both are heading in the right direction. ROCQ represents JPMorgan's attempt to build the version of JEPQ that addresses literally every critique that the market has leveled at with JEPQ since 2022. More flexible option structure, tax-efficient distribution treatment, active management that can respond to market conditions. If the fund delivers on all three over the next 12 to 18 months, it becomes a serious case for JEPQ in taxable accounts, okay? That is a meaningful potential shift for anyone running covered call ETFs as their income floor like we'd like to do here. But funds earn trust through operating history. Let's be real, not prospectus language. The structure looks right though. The intentions are aligned with what income investors in taxable accounts actually want and need. The execution is the part that takes the time to verify. For now, ROCQ is a fund worth tracking closely, at least for me. Watching its distribution history, its NAV trajectory, especially its tax year documentation on when it becomes available. JEPQ remains tested though, 4-year veteran with a known track record through multiple market cycles. I hold JEPQ, I hold JEPI. I'm not selling either. JEPQ's track record is real, its income is consistent, and in my tax advantaged accounts where ordinary income classification is irrelevant, the tax efficiency comparison with ROCQ doesn't really apply anyway. What I'm doing with ROCQ is running parallel observations. I check the price, watch for the first official distributions, and I'll review the year-end tax documentation when it becomes available, 2 or 3 quarterly distributions with some confirmed ROC character, and I'll have a real basis for hopefully a better comparison. The moment I have that data though, I'll come back, I'll do some more side-by-side stuff. Until then, the title of this video stays honest. Watching closely, not really moving. I got some questions for you guys in the comments. Are you currently holding JEPI, JEPQ, QQQI, right? And has the ordinary income tax treatment in a taxable account been some meaningful factor in how you think about your position and your position sizing? And number 2, have you started a position in ROCQ already? Or are you just waiting for more distribution history before committing your actual capital? I would love to hear anyone that's invested in ROCQ yet. And if you are a beginner and you're just getting started with wanting to learn how to sell options and create an income-focused portfolio, click the first link in the description of today's video. There's a 90-minute training there. At the end of it, I give you my 15 favorite stocks that I love running the wheel strategy on, all under 30 bucks, my 2 income calculators, as well as my full trade lock template to keep yourself nice and organized. Click the first link in the description of today's video, guys. Remember, sell options, collect premiums, repeat. I'll see y'all tomorrow.